We indeed lift our eyes upon the Lord, for our help comes from Him. Thank you, Covenant Choir. Our greetings of peace and love to everyone. Mayong buntag sa tanan. Our lectionary text is from the Gospel of Luke in chapter 15. It's the parable of the prodigal son. And this is actually one of Jesus' most impactful and widely recognized teachings. And preaching this very familiar story from the Bible can be quite challenging, given its widespread recognition. And indeed, this story has been preached on numerous occasions, often emphasizing several common and traditional sermon points, such as the younger son's rebellion, as he demanded for his inheritance, which represents selfishness, and how often people can go astray from God, pursuing their own desires and living a life of sin. Or it can be about the consequences of wrong decisions that often lead to destruction, to emptiness and loss of dignity. A strong warning of the result of living apart from God and the emptiness that comes with pursuing worldly pleasures. Or it can be about the focus on true repentance, that is, turning away from sin and returning to God, no matter how far we've gone. Or you might have heard about a sermon on this text focusing on the Father's compassion that highlights the overwhelming grace and love of God, who forgives us and restores us, no matter how much we've sinned, telling us that God is ready to welcome us back with open arms when we return to Him. And of course, we have heard about the older son's jealousy and anger, and it reflects about self-righteousness and the lack of understanding of God's grace. And given all this, I was asking myself, what could be a new perspective from this wonderful parable that could still be a potential sermon focus? Well, we typically see the story with a rather predictable conclusion. The younger son returns, he was forgiven, and all is well. As I reread the story, what stands out to me this time is that after the father embraced and forgave his son, the father made a public declaration for everyone to join the celebration. And this shows that the feast wasn't just for the younger son, but rather an invitation extended to everyone, including those who shared in the joy of his son's return from what seemed like death, as well as those who felt jealous or unhappy about it. Now, how is this relevant to us these days? We live in a world that feels more divided than ever before. There is a clear political polarization, cultural clashes, social inequality, or even personal conflicts. It seems that everywhere we turn, there is something that divides us. If we're honest about it, it can be very overwhelming. At times, it might even feel like the divisions are too deep to overcome. Too much polarization can have several significant effects, both spiritually and socially. When people within the church and our immediate community becomes deeply divided or polarized, it can harm our unity. It can harm our mission. It can harm the effectiveness of our church community. Therefore, the Father's open invitation in the parable is incredibly relevant to our context today. It might feel uncomfortable, even a little convicting. Nonetheless, it is what it is from the Father's perspective. Yes, we often would love to share a feast with those whose company we enjoy. Our friends, our family, people who make us laugh, people to whom we share a common ground. But today, I believe that God is calling us for us to step out, outside our comfort zones and learn the power of inviting others to celebrate, even those we find difficult to love. This, I believe, is Jesus' radical teaching about giving thanks and celebrating. In a culture where who you go with could define your status or worth, Jesus flips the script. He tells us not to limit our invitation to people who can repay us, our friends, family, or rich neighbors. Instead, Jesus is telling us to celebrate life and faith even to those we find difficult to love. Yes, those who might make us feel uncomfortable. Why? The true power of thanksgiving isn't in the reciprocation. It's in the grace. Remember, Jesus dined with sinners, with tax collectors, with people the religious leaders of his time despised. He didn't just hang out with those who were easy to love. Jesus made meaningful connections with those who were difficult to love. And by doing so, Jesus demonstrated the heart of God. A love that goes beyond our comfort. A love that goes beyond the familiar. A kind of love that goes beyond what is easy. For all of us here, for all of us who are followers of Christ, we are called to imitate that kind of love. And this challenge goes deeper than just social etiquette. It's a call to embody God's grace. When we decide to celebrate and give thanks with people we do not like, we are actually opening the door for healing, the door for reconciliation, and most importantly, the door for transformation. And so let me challenge each one of us here. The next time you are planning to celebrate and think of gathering, think about those people who you would least likely to invite. Maybe it's someone who've hurt you, someone who has wronged you, or someone who just makes you uncomfortable. Instead of avoiding them, extend the hand of grace. You know, the reward won't always come in the form of reconciliation or an apology, but definitely it will come. The reward is the joy that comes from knowing that we have obeyed God's call to love others as God has loved us. It's the reward that comes from our peace, from doing what is right, even though it is hard to do. And ultimately, It's the eternal reward of knowing that in some way you have reflected the heart of God. The father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it." And the father went on saying, "Let us have a feast and let us all celebrate." Friends, the door to the feast is wide open for all of us. Will you come?